We are not surprised by the statements of Honorable Minister of State Olyam, speaking out as a diplomat or somebody who represents international relations and diplomacy. He spoke out his mind. We are not surprised because he may have spoken the truth. But to the contrary, we also question him. We question his motive. We question his background in terms of the knowledge concerning international relations and diplomacy. Does he really know what he represents? Does he really know exactly what he's meant to represent, or what his role is, and what his origin is? I want to send this message to him. As a diplomat, representing the diplomatic code from Foreign Affairs, he has to best defend the interests of his country. That's fine. But does he know the interests of Uganda in particular, to Saudi Arabia or other countries? Does he consider all those interests, or perhaps try to guide government as a minister, on how things can be done better, but do not seem to come out and expose himself as such a contradictive minister? I mean, he's right, possibly, to be representing the interests as economic sanctions, as they are stated into the diplomacy and according to the Vienna Convention. He may be representing such interests like economic interests, statecraft, foreign assistance, trade policy, coffee, gold, whatever trade they may want to trade. Armed forces, deterrence, arms control, peacekeeping. We have seen the peacekeeping missions in Somalia. Well and good. Intelligence and combat actions. He's right to do so. He's got to represent these interests. These are interests, special interests a country may have. But our question is, does he really know that Uganda also has interest in labor export? And this is where he contradicts himself. Does Honorable Olyam know that Uganda has labor export interests, interest in exporting labor to other countries? Could it be the reason why the people in diplomacy or in the embassies are so much lazy and not interested? Or maybe perhaps they don't understand what they're supposed to do, but they look very disinterested into the whole business of supporting the Ugandans. The Ugandans that have been left almost jobless, even when the head of state states it clearly that people must wait. We bring in the investors home to create the industries where in the future our own will work. But by now, there isn't any job, or there are no jobs enough for them to stay home. And then you find a minister coming from Uganda, not from Zambia, but from Uganda, who doesn't connect to the ground, who lacks just a sense of reality to know what the ground dictates for Ugandans and the Shia movements that are taking place. As if this minister lacks information on what the globalization agendas are. It surprises then to find this minister speaking recklessly, sending information to the vulnerable migrant workers in numbers, in sheer numbers, who are tortured, incarcerated, and, in very, very desperate situations. And he sends such a message that they go there on their own, even when they have been seduced under Ministry of Gender or by a government body, a government ministry, not a church. These people are not sent by these churches or the ministries in the church. No, they are sent by this government body. And this gender ministry is not doing this work out of, order. They also do it by regulations. That now puts us to a question: does Minister Okello Oryem really understands his job? Does he really know exactly what is taking place in Uganda? Or he forgets that labor migration or recruitment of Ugandans to Saudi Arabia or any other country is a responsibility of government, because government had to adopt this business. And therefore, the protection of nationals, be it when they go there into this arrangement or not, it's incumbent upon the Ugandan government through its embassies. And that's why countries create these embassies and missions to support their nationals, to protect them, to enter into matters that deserve them to get amnesty, to get into treaties according to the Vienna Convention, the Treaty Convention. Let Mr. Okello Oryem go and read and understand why countries take interest in the treaties. Sometimes they need to do so because they need to wrest certain opportunities for their, or to get these opportunities for their fellows home. So why Uganda goes into a bilateral arrangement in Saudi Arabia, and then you come out as a minister, you say you don't know the Ugandans in Saudi Arabia, they risk going there because you already know the tab there, the problem, therefore they shouldn't go. You see, when we were doing medicine, that was pharmacology, there is something we were looking at called the a reaction, an allergy, an autoimmune disorder. Something like a drug gives a reaction, and sometimes this allergy can occur when somebody is exposed to a chemical or something else, which is contrary, and then the body fights itself. Does Honorable Okello Oryem, is he turning into an allergy? Because he seems to be not aware of the government programs. And some of the interests he has representing in Saudi Arabia, these are the interests of labor. And we from the labor school, representing workers, we believe he's provoking us. He totally is exposing his ignorance about the labor law, the labor rights, the international labor standards, and all that stuff. Name it. Where Uganda is a signatory. And Uganda has offered these very rights to the migrants in Uganda here, the people who migrate here. And it seems Honorable Okello Oryem doesn't know that that is also part of his IRD. Therefore, you ought to listen to this message and get to retract his statement. We don't want to force him because he has left it in the media to flow. We want to force Honorable Okello Oryem to come out and retract his statement. He should clearly state it out and tell us which principles, which interests does he represent Ugandans in the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Otherwise, we do not recommend him there, and we shall call the president to withdraw him because he doesn't think twice. The country has deployed its nationals in other countries under bilateral, but for you, a foreign minister, you are not aware. You just come and talk anything. Even when the nationals, the Ugandans, are calling for support, you come with such a contradicting statement. That in itself means you don't know the purpose why you are a foreign affairs minister. And then we shall not again blame people who exclude you. because you seem disinterested. You would rather tell us that indeed, yes, Uganda has interest in labor export to Saudi Arabia. I want to give you the answer. But yeah, our own have issues. In which case, we are trying, because when Saudi is communicating by protocol, they go through foreign affairs to tell you what is happening. You would reassure the Ugandans that you are taking all measures through the protocols and whatever to lay down treaties or to amend the bilaterals such that peace can prevail among the Ugandans in Saudi Arabia. You would at least respond as such. And you don't cast yourself in such an image. Telling Ugandans that you know they are on their own, as if you are dismissing a full government program, which is meant to actually control human trafficking, reduce human trafficking. You have forgotten all that. Are you trying to tell all the Ugandans that they should not embrace lawful and safe regular means of traveling or seeking employment abroad if they are fit to do so? Are you trying to say people should only use the right to migrate, but in any way they want? Are you trying to say that Uganda has no a formal arrangement? It commits itself? Are you trying to run away from the responsibility of Ugandan government protecting its nationals whom it has exported to Saudi Arabia and laying down the protocol or whatever that it requires to protect them? Why other countries like the Philippines do so and they do not run away in issues? We often see the president of Philippines and other ministers, other people responsible, they come up when there are issues of a single Philippine in another country. If you really don't wish bad for this country and you are just purporting to be a minister, why would you speak such a statement against a government program? Even if this government change, labor export or labor movements will continue and you cannot stop them. We would like now to tell you that go back, understand where you lie. If you are lying under diplomacy and international relations, please understand where you cannot argue. That's why a consular cannot be my lawyer when I'm a migrant worker. He can come at this and ask for amnesty and whatever. But I will need a lawyer, or a civil lawyer, to look into my issue as a laborer. Just be clear to the public that the country has failed to recognize the workers' independence or leadership, these migrant workers, such that they can easily, even it has been failed to negotiate it, this kind of leadership in a bilateral, which would be your role. You as a foreign affairs minister, you would be now proposing that since we as diplomat, we cannot go into affairs of labor and these workers, when we are there, we are negotiating an agency, a body to be attached such that they are always negotiating their issues and then will remain diplomats. Then you will not be to blame. But you want to continue telling Ugandans whom you export to Saudi Arabia, you want to continue telling them, everything that happens, call embassy. Call embassy. You are extorting us. You extort us. Somebody goes to Saudi embassy. She applies for a job order. These Arabs, they pay money per head, $30. It is received by URA. Unless Mr. Olyam doesn't know, government receives money from selling these Ugandans. And then after these Ugandans get challenges, you want to presume you don't know anything that is happening, so they take themselves there. Who seduces them to go? It is you who seduce them. How they have free things after wiring your deals and sponsorship. You mean you don't have a commission on this sponsorship as a country? You are the first people to earn a commission on the sponsorship, on this money that Arabs buy Ugandans. And then you come to lie to the Ugandans that it is free thing. And then extortion begins. The companies also begin extorting us. But it is you, the government people, where you are running. Are you not part of Ugandan government? You want to say you're working in a different zone? When we come to Saudi Arabia, in whose jurisdiction are we? That's the jurisdiction where you are. And your ambassadors and the consulars. Could it be the reason why the consulars and the others keep dodging us? Hiding reports? They want to do things in their own way as if you are deploying diplomats. You are not deploying diplomats. You would rather drop the program. Drop it and say we do not export labor in Uganda. Then we shall not call you again to say such and such a Ugandan is suffering because of you. And this is our stand. Don't come out again, Honorable Minister Okero Olyam. I have made it in English for you to understand. Don't come out again to confuse the labor export industry or the migration regime. It is really sad. This whole thing has been done by government. And then you want to tell the public how whoever is doing it for you is just doing it on his own. So Ministry of Gender is not part of government. And whatever business they do, they are just duping us. Could it be the reason why Ugandans continue to suffer in Saudi Arabia and everybody is dodging them and government is not bothered? Because you know, for you are not aware. Forgetting you are even on our salary. Because you don't worry about the salary, it is small. Enjoy the deals. But don't mislead the public. Don't incite. You are inciting us, actually. We are calling for your apology. Retract your statements, otherwise you exposed yourself. We know you may not be in good terms with gender. And our calling is you to get in good terms with gender. But you don't come out and talk like that before the vulnerables. Our own dying, our own, for you come out and talk like that, what do you want people to do? I hope I've communicated. And let this message reach Minister, Honorable Minister Okero Olyam, State Minister, Foreign Affairs. Please organize yourselves, otherwise you're embarrassing Uganda. Uganda not having a foreign policy, as you stated, does not make you go crazy or speak things like that. It jeopardizes the image of the sovereign state as Uganda it is. Therefore, I will refer you back to understand the principles of international relations. It doesn't only include your thinking, but it goes further. It includes even labor relations. It goes further about even what we are talking about. So please orient yourself. I thank you.